Okay, now sugya number 6, last sugya that's going to be in this test. Line 7. The Mishnah continued on and said, Masra lרועה, if he gave it over to a shepherd, nichnas haroעה tachtav. The shepherd takes responsibility instead. Sorry, case number 5, sugya 5, thank you. Okay. They said, tachtav the man. When it says that he gave it to a shepherd and the shepherd takes responsibility instead, tachtav the man, instead of whom? If you're going to say, havamina, this is the havamina. If you're going to say that it's instead of the owner of the animal, that the owner gave it to a shepherd, and then now the shepherd is responsible instead of the owner. Zimna, we already learned this before. Where do we learn this? So it's actually earlier on in Bava Kama. What does it say at the end of line 9? If the owner gives it to a shomechinam, an unpaid watcher, or to a borrower, or to a paid watchman, or to a seicher, a renter, they all take responsibility instead of the owner. So therefore we have a Farish Mishnah that tells us this. So what's the chiddush here? What are we learning here we didn't know already? Ella, line 11, the end of line 11, Ella rather, tacht of the shomer. It's instead of a first shomer. So what happened here? What happened here was the owner gave it to a shomer, and then the shomer gave it to the roya. And what we're saying is, the shomer kama, on line 12, shomer kama, the first shomer, if the letter gamre is completely partul. So you might think that because the first shomer gave it to the second shomer, that since he had responsibility, he has to continue having responsibility. In this case, the Mishnah's chiddush is that the first shomer is patur and the second shomer is chayiv if anything happens. End of line number 12. End of line 12. End of line 12. Lay motivative to the Rava. So okay, very nice. Shomer gave it to the Raya. Raya is chayiv. First shomer is patur. Now this seems to be a refutation. It seems to prove Rava wrong. How? The Amar Rava on line 13. The Amar Rava says, Rava said, shomer shemasal shomer chayiv. If one shomer gives it to another shomer, chayiv. The first shomer is still chayiv. But our Mishnah seems to say, the way we explained it, that the first shomer is patur and the second shomer is chayiv. So now we have a Mishnah we have Rava seeming to argue the Mishnah. So now the Gemara answers for Rava, line 14, middle of the line. Amalach Rava, Rava would say to you, my Masra lרועה. No, this Mishnah doesn't argue with me. I'm not arguing with this Mishnah. Why? When it says Masra lרועה, what does it mean? The Barzilei. He gave it to his apprentice. So I'm the owner, I gave it to a shomer, and the shomer gave it to his apprentice. So he works for him. And me as the owner, I'm not going to have a problem with my shomer giving it to his apprentice because that's the normal course of action. So when Rava was saying something, when Rava said the first shomer is chayiv, what's he talking about? He's talking about where the shomer gave it to a completely independent shomer, which the owner wouldn't necessarily have wanted to happen. That's why the first shomer is still chayiv. Now, line 16. There are those who say, report this differently. So it's the same kind of thing, just explained in a different way. Midikatani Masra lרועה, since it says he gave it over to a shepherd, what's the deal here? We're carefully understanding this Mishnah. It says roya, shepherd. V'loikatani Masra la'acher. It doesn't say he gave it to someone else. It says he gave it to a shepherd. Shema mina, since it's used that word shepherd, we learn from here, my Masra lרועה. What does it mean when it says he gave it to a shepherd? Masa roya barzilei. It means that the shepherd gave it to his apprentice. In other words, it's talking about the same kind of thing. It's talking about his apprentice. Because it's normal for a roya, a shepherd, to give it to his apprentice. But to give it to someone else, no. So now we're going to turn the tables and say, this doesn't refute Rava, it doesn't go against him, it supports him. Middle line, 18. Lema, let's say, Messiah le Rava. Let's say this helps Rava. This actually proves Rava right. Please look in, line 18, the end of the line. Dama Rava says, Rava said, if a shomer gives it to another shomer, the first shomer is chayiv. Omre, they said, lie. No. You can't use this to prove Rava right. Why? Dilma, perhaps, orcha de milsa katani. It's just using a common case in the Mishnah. You're not necessarily learning a detail that it must only be talking about this case of a raya and of a barzilei and his apprentice. No, maybe it's just using the common terminology, or just like in the Mishnah we say sheep, but it would apply to other animals as well, right? Same thing over here. And the same halach would apply to others. So you cannot use this Mishnah to prove Rava right, but you also can't use it to prove him wrong. In other words, it doesn't do anything. But at the end of the day, the point is that the Mishnah is talking not about where the owner gave it to one shomer. It's talking about where the owner gave it to a shomer, and the shomer gave it to another shomer. The other shomer is his apprentice who works for him, which is with the owner's permission, because it's assumed that a raya, that a shomer or a raya will give it to his apprentice. And that's why the second guy now takes responsibility.